Michelle Shelly Knotek, she seemed to have it all: a devoted husband, a peaceful rural home in Raymond, Washington, and 3 daughters that she was raising with care. Known for their generosity, the couple actually opened their doors to friends and relatives that were in need of support. However, there was a sinister turn of events, and this unfolded when the guests who they supported started mysteriously vanishing. In a courageous revelation, Knotek's 3 daughters actually stepped forward to share a distressing account. They disclosed that all 3 of them had endured physical abuse at the hands of their parents, and that their parents had been responsible for the death of their guests. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jules Onuk, and hi, welcome back to True Crime Jules. If this is the first time seeing me, hi, welcome. My name is Jules, and I record true crime stories every 2 weeks and sometimes every week. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe to my channel, like this video, and yeah, thank you guys so much, and share this video if you care. So guys, today we're going to talk about Shelly Knotek. She's also known as America's serial killer mom and America's most evil mom, but then again, there are so many evil moms that have been caught and recorded and reported in America. So like, this is just one of them, because I don't know, yeah, this case is quite a heavy one. So I'm going to give themes of child abuse, murder, and basically heavy themes. So if that's something that you know cut out for, you could come back next time, and I'm going to see you in my next video. So thank you, bye. Shelly Knotek, she was also called Michelle. Her name is Michelle, but she preferred being called Shelly, so I'm going to like use either Michelle Knotek or Shelly in this case. So Shelly Knotek, she was the oldest of 3 siblings. Shelly and her brothers, they actually lived with their mentally ill alcoholic mom Sharon during the early years. So along with her propensity for alcohol, Sharon had gotten involved in a dangerous lifestyle, with some family members believing that she may have also been into prostitution. Regardless, the household lacked stability, and when Shelly was 6 years old, their mother seemingly vanished and she left them behind. So instead of taking care of her brothers, however, Shelly did subject them to abuse and torment. The children, they were subsequently placed under the care of their father, whose name was Les Watson, and his new wife named Laura Stallings. Watson was a charismatic and a prosperous business owner, while Stallings, his wife, just embodied the captivating beauty often associated with the 1950s America. However, Shelly actually did hold a very deep resentment towards Stallings, and she also made her feelings abundantly clear, and frequently she would express her intense dislike for her stepmother Lauren. So at the age of 13, Shelly did experience the tragic death of her mom Sharon Todd Watson, and according to her father's account, that's Lee Watson's account, Sharon was involved with a man during that period, and they were living in dire circumstances. They were homeless, they were struggling with alcoholism, and they were residing in a rundown area of the city. So sadly, her mom Sharon had died due to being beaten to death, but I don't know who beat her to death. I don't know if it was her partner. I don't know if it was something that actually did happen in the street, but she was actually beaten to death. According to Shelly's stepmom, that's Lauren Stallings, she said that Shelly never for once asked about her mom, which I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm sure she would have had like deep resentment for her mom because of the way her mom treated her and her brother, and that made her like really hate her mom. So like, maybe when her mom died, she like, to her mom was already dead before then, so maybe when her mom died she actually did not care. But on the other hand, her stepmother was very surprised that she didn't even ask about her mom, which I can see. But then again, yeah, I don't think anybody has the right to tell someone how to grieve, if that makes sense. So this being said, this is the last devil advocate I'm going to play for this woman, because after that she did not even find any solace, she didn't find any stability. She just persisted in tormenting her brothers. She found every reason to blame them for missing their homework, or she would just like provoke frequent conflict. And also compounding the situation, her brother, she had 2 brothers, one was Paul and one was Chuck. So Paul, he struggled with impulse control and he lacked social skills, and on the other hand, her brother Chuck just remained silent, and every time he would just allow Shelly to dominate the conversations on his behalf, and he would just let her like torture him. This is really sad, but guys, this is not even half of what happened. However, the conflicts between the siblings, they extended far beyond just typical childhood squabbles, because later her stepmom actually revealed that Shelly would deliberately like place shards of glass at the bottom of the kids' shoes or their boots, so she would put like glasses inside their shoes, and when they step in they will bleed. And she was like, what kind of person would engage in such malicious acts? In March 1969, Shelly, she was 14 years at this time, while some sources said she was 15. At this time she was 14 years, and something actually happened. So Shelly's dad and stepmom, they had sent her to school to go to school, and when they sent her to school, they were very alarmed when Shelly did not return from school. So they contacted the school only to discover that Shelly had been placed in juvenile detention center. So they were so scared because they thought that Shelly was in trouble, but the thing is, Shelly was not in trouble. Shelly had accused her father of rape, and honestly, like, even when her stepmom went to her room to check, she saw like Shelly had written in a piece of paper, I was raped at 15 by my dad. So from reports and during my research, I found out that why Shelly accused her dad of rape was because she wanted to go and live with her grandmom. So she had two grandmom, but there's a grandmom that she really did like, and that her grandmom was someone who she like worshipped. That grandmom that she liked was seen to be as evil as Shelly, and that was what she actually did like. So she wanted to go and live with her grandma. She used to go there frequently, but like she wanted to move in with her grandma, and her parents actually declined the request because they just didn't want Shelly to be worse than how she was already. And Shelly hated this so much, it made her resent her parents more. So due to this, she just like continued hating them. So Sterling's suspicions was later validated when there was a doctor's examination that confirmed that Shelly had fabricated the rape allegation, because they had taken her to the hospital and they had run tests of her, and they saw that she actually was not raped. There was no sign of sexual assault. So in an attempt to address this situation, they paired Shelly up with a psychologist, not only her, also like her family too. But unfortunately, these efforts, they actually proved unsuccessful, because Shelly, she refused to acknowledge anything, and she did not attend any of the sessions. And yeah, they could not like force her to do any of this, but like I think the law, they actually tried the best they could, and it still didn't work out. Subsequently, Shelly moved in with her stepmom's parents, that's her step-grandparents, but regrettably, her destructive behavior actually did persist, and she also, like, every time she was always aiming to disrupt the lives of those around her. Her tantrums, they persisted, and there was even a time that she deceptively offered to babysit one of the neighbor's children, only to confine them in their rooms using bulky furniture. And also, just as she did to her dad, she had also leveled a false allegation of abuse against her own grandfather. There's a video that I watched about this case that said she was sent to a boarding school, and when she was sent to this boarding school, like, even she was sent to a Catholic school with the nuns, and even the nuns could not even control her. Like, every Saturday, they just call her parents and be like, are you coming to get your daughters from school? And if you know, like, boarding schools, especially the ones with nuns, are like no joke. So for the fact that the nuns were not able to call her to order was like a very big red flag. So after she leveled these rape allegations against her grandfather, of course it was not true. Her grandfather and her grandma was like, you know what, I'm not doing this any longer. So they sent Shelly away from the house. So her pattern of manipulation and abuse, they just continued from when she was young to teenage life and through adulthood, and through 2 marriages, all the way to the spring of 1982, where she met her husband. who was also a Navy veteran, and he was named David Knotek. So this is where she got the name Knotek from. And 5 years later, she got married in 1987. So before I go to her and her husband, I'm just going to talk about like her the husband that she had prior. So she got married when she was 19, and she got married to someone too that was 19. And while she was in this marriage, I read that she was very manipulative. She refused to work, and the guy was not even doing like, he was not doing like a strong job. He was doing like a menial job. So like him 19, the weight of his family and his wife on his shoulders, paying all the rent and doing everything, and Shelly deliberately refusing to work because she was like, it's not her duty to work and that kind of thing. And she actually did not even care. She would manipulate this man so much. She would manipulate him and take his money, and the man grew frustrated, and the marriage actually dissolved. So after that, in 1982, that's when she met David Knotek, and this is where she has the name Knotek from. And he was a Navy veteran, and he was also a construction worker. They met in 1982, and in 1987 they both got married. So the next year, Shelly Knotek, she actually did welcome her first victim into their home. Growing up in the Knotek's household, Shelly's first victim was her 13-year-old nephew called Shane Watson. So Shane moved into her home in 1988. Shane's father was a member of a biker gang, and he was incarcerated, and his mom, because of this, she actually did face extreme financial hardship, and it made her unable to take care of herself and for him. So without delay, Knotek actually decided to like take in Shane. She assured the mom that Shane is going to be in good hands, and she brought Shane to her home to stay with Shane, because after all, that was her nephew. And at first, this is what we'll see throughout this case, Shelly, she would be so nice at first, she would be so calm, so good at first, and after that she's just going to like switch instantly. So without delay, Knotek, she subjected Watson to relentless torture. She also introduced a twisted form of discipline she referred to as wallowing. So in wallowing, what she would do, she would tell Shane to not use the bathroom without permission from her. Like, Shane would not, if Shane wants to wee or wants to poo, he has to take permission from Shelly to use the bathroom. And also, this did not only stop at Shane, it also moved to her own two daughters. For example, she would tell them to strip naked and also endure the frigid outdoor temperatures while she doused them with water. And most of the time this was like during the winter. You guys can imagine how cold it would be, but she didn't care. She would tell them to go out naked, and then she would just pour water on them. Like, she was so wicked that I would just think, oh, when I was researching this case, I was like, how do you do that to your own child, your own children? Like, you literally went through 9 months of morning sickness, mood swings, throwing up, and then either you push them out or you went through C-section. No matter the manner of approach used in delivering your baby, it was freaking painful. And then you turn around and treat them this way. I was just like thinking, like, rah, like, how do you just do that as a mom? Do you just do that as a mom? Because I just could not even understand how, but apparently she did that. So she took additional pleasure in humiliating her eldest daughter, that's Nikki and Sam. So what she would do is that she would order them to give her handfuls of their pubic hair, and their wallowing also frequently included being caged in a dog kennel. And there was even a time that Shelly shoved her daughter Nikki's head through a glass door. Like, guys, how do you do that to your own child? How do you do that to your own child? How do you? And after she did this, she most times she would just be like, look what you made me do. That's what she would tell her daughters. Like, how would your daughters make you put them through such torture? Like, at this point, I don't even think that she had conscience. Conscience was just far from me. Either she was a psychopath or a sociopath, because I don't understand how you would literally do this to your own children, your own blood, your own flesh and blood. So the only person that she did not really torture at the time was her infant daughter, because she had 3 daughters, as I earlier mentioned. So she had Sam, Nikki and Tori. So Tori was her last child, and unfortunately, even though she did not torture them at this time, that would later change. Sometimes what she would do is that she would force her nephew and her daughter Nikki to dance naked together, and what she did was laugh. Like, how was that funny? She would laugh, and after torturing her children and her nephew, she would now like drop love bombs of utter affections on them. So for example, there was a podcast I listened to in regard to this case. So what she would do is, there was one Christmas where she bought gifts for them. They were so happy, they were so joyful, and then the next day she just took it from them. Like, how wicked could you be doing that to the people you call your children? In December of 1988, just a short while after Shane had settled into the household, Shelly actually extended her helping hand once again, this time, and it was to Kathy Loreno. So Kathy was a former friend who had recently experienced job loss, and she found herself in a very desperate circumstance. This was her old friend, this was her best friend, and when she heard about Kathy, she welcomed Kathy with the same warmth and positivity that she often displayed when it came to inviting people into her life. And honestly, like, Kathy really did love her, really did do everything like possible. There was even a time where Shelly actually lied to Kathy and her husband that she had cancer, but her stepmom could see right through it. Her stepmom called her one day and was like, why are you lying that you have cancer? I've called like all the hospitals and everybody, and nobody has said that you have cancer. And Shelly now told her best friend and told her husband, I was like, see, this person, my stepmom is saying I don't have cancer. So naturally, they're like, they even called her stepmom and they were like, why would you say that about your daughter? It's obvious to be there for her at this time. You're here disapproving her sickness. Like, how dare you? I can just imagine them like riding for Shelly. But her stepmom was like, I can see right through her. Like, she does not have cancer, and she did not even lie. She did not even like say, oh, I'm sorry. She was like, Shelly does not have cancer. But then again, Kathy will watch as Shelly will abuse these children so bad, and sometimes it was also believed that Kathy also joined in on abusing these children, which is just so crazy. However, it would not take long before Kathy realized that she was not as special as she thought she was, because Miss Shelly Knotek just switched in an instant. Kathy quickly fell victim to Shelly's dark intention, and she was, at this point, she was trapped and she had nowhere else to turn to. Reluctantly, she succumbed to the nightmare that was bestowed upon her. She was made to do forced labor, and she would do this labor while she was unclothed. She endured nightly administration of sedatives, and she was being confined to sleep alongside the basement boiler. There was even a time she ran out of the house and Shelly found her, and Shelly manipulated her to come back to the house. And when she came back to the house, at first Shelly was nice, the next thing Shelly just turned, and she was even worse than she was before. In 1994, Shelly Knotek, she graduated to murder. During a period of 9 years, she perpetrated the murders of 3 individuals who were close to her. So by this time, Loreno, she had lost so much weight. She had lost over 100 pounds. Her body was covered in bruises, in cuts, in sores, and after one particular brutal beating, she was left unconscious in the basement. Shelly will beat Kathy, her own friend. I'm like, how? She will beat her, she will torture her, she will make her do tasks, and then Kathy had cuts, she had bruises, she had wounds all over her body. She had lost so much weight, and Shelly, like, she didn't show any iota of concern towards her friend. So this particular day, she had beaten Shelly so bad, and when she had beaten Shelly, she just left Shelly down in the basement, and this left Shelly unconscious. Shelly was unconscious in the basement, and Kathy was unconscious. She left Kathy in the basement. Kathy was unconscious, and Kathy, she just left her and she went. So David, I don't know what he was doing in the basement. He now heard like noises coming from the laundry room. So I think the laundry room was in the basement. I don't know. When David went, he saw that Kathy was in a very critical state. So he saw that Kathy was actually choking on her own vomit, and her eyes, they were rolled to the back. So with this, he acted so quickly. He turned her onto her side and he attempted to clear her airway by, manually removing the vomit. And despite his efforts, it just became evident that Kathy Loreno's life could not be saved. He even tried CPR for 5 minutes, and at this time he just knew, he was like, Kathy is dead. So at this time, Kathy actually died. So down the line, we got to see that when David was arraigned, he actually said that he doesn't know, that he wished he had called 911, but yeah. So he recalled that with everything that was going on, he didn't want to call the cops there because he didn't want to put Shelly in trouble, or he did not want the kids to go through that trauma, and he did not want to ruin their lives or his family lives. He said that he just freaked out and he didn't know what to do, which, excuse me, that's bullshit. But then again, I don't mean to sound misogynistic or patriarchal, but like, I don't know how you're an army general and you're letting your wife just use you like a common civilian. That is an insult in the military ground. Do you understand? I don't know how you were an army veteran, not general, veteran, and you're like letting your wife like push you over. One thing I know about the military people, they are very, very strict. They are very, very like in charge. So for the fact that you let your wife manipulate you this much is like very, very crazy, if that makes sense. So upon learning of Kathy's demise, that the fact that she had died, Michelle skillfully, she manipulated her husband and her children into believing that they would face, like, them all together would be imprisoned if they disclose the truth to anyone outside of their family circle. So because of this, after this, Shelly, she ordered her husband, David Knotek, to cremate Loreno's lifeless body, and together him and Michelle, they dispersed the ashes, and this just erased any evidence of the horrific event. If anybody asked Shelly where Loreno, that's Kathy, was, she would say that Kathy ran away to stay with her lover. And Shane actually did recognize the true horrors that was in this environment, which is why in February 1995 he actually planned to get out. So prior to when Kathy died, Shane had taken pictures of Kathy when she was alive. He took her, she looked so malnourished, she had bruises, she looked beaten, and then when he took the picture, Kathy was living in a cold basement next to the boiler or radiator, anyone you want to call it. So he showed Nikki the photos, and he then told Nikki of his plans, and he said that he was going to show the police. But this was a great mistake, because let's not forget, these children, they were manipulated by their mom. They feared their mom so much. So being filled with fear and concern for the possible repercussions that happened, because let's not also forget that Michelle had manipulated her whole family to believe that if the case had gotten to police, they would arrest all of them. Nikki, she just mustered up the courage to confide in her mom and tell her mom about the distressing photographs. So in a vengeful act, Shelly had actually retaliated by ordering David to fatally shoot Shane in the head. And David, this mumu of a man, this useless man, he actually did shoot Shane in the head, and he complied with what Shelly had told him to do. After Shane had died, the couple, they proceeded to burn Shane's lifeless body in their yard before dispersing his ashes over the water. So Shelly Knotek, that's one of her eldest daughters, she later disclosed that she was like, the reason why her mom was able to control Dave was because while she loved her dad, he simply was a very weak man. She said that he lacked the strength of character. She also said that he could have found happiness in a fulfilling marriage and been an incredible husband to someone, as he truly had the potential to be. Instead, his life was destroyed alongside theirs. So prior to facing justice, the Knoteks, they claimed another victim whose name was Ron Woodworth. And Ron Woodworth, he was a friend of Shelly Knotek, and he had just moved in with them in 1999. And oh my god, like, this one was just so crazy, guys. Content warning. I feel like this whole case, content warning, because I don't understand how this woman was so wicked. Like, she was so wicked. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how? She was a master manipulator, because how? I keep asking myself, like, how? So at first, when Woodworth came into the house, she was nice, she was kind, she was loving, and then all of a sudden she switched. So what she would do is she would demean Woodworth, she would refer to him as an ugly lowlife, she would call him the F word for gay people. And he was actually a 57-year-old gay veteran too, and he was struggling with drug addiction. She believed that there would be like a combination of regular doses of pills and physical beatings that would somehow help him straighten his life. So she would beat him and she would give him pills, different types of pills to swallow, because she believed that this would actually straighten his life. Like, how did she think? Just like others, she didn't allow him to use the bathroom without her permission, or like days when she wouldn't allow him to use the bathroom, she would force him to go outside and urinate, or like go outside and do his business. Also, there's been a time where Ron went to visit one of his friends, and this friend told him, I was like, see, you look like a shadow of yourself, please get out of the situation, come and stay with me, I'm going to take care of you. But Ron was like, he was so manipulated by Shelly that he was like, I don't know, I feel okay. Like, he felt indebted to Shelly, that he was like, I feel okay here. She's a nice person. And that's what people that face abuse always say, like, she's nice, she would change and all those things. But that was not the case, because Shelly never changed. She never did change. And she was like, don't worry, everything is going to be fine, blah 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 blah. He was basically defending Shelly, and obviously his friend could not force him to do what he did not want to do. And yeah, he went back to Shelly. So what Shelly would do, she would subject Ron Woodworth to a series of cruel demands. She also insisted that he cut ties with his family. She forced him to consume his own urine, and then commanded him to leap from the roof, like jump from the roof. And this roof was like a 2-story building. He survived the fall, but it resulted in severe injuries that left him in a debilitated state. So as a treatment, Shelly poured bleach over his wounds, and in August 2003, Ron Woodworth, he succumbed to this torture and he died. Guys, I'm just saying things like lightly, because I don't want to like go deep down into the whole integrity of this whole case and every torture that she subjected these people to. Shelly Knotek, she concealed Ron Woodworth's lifeless body in the freezer, and she kept deceiving his friends by saying that he had secured a job in Tacoma. And after this, her husband David Knotek proceeded to bury Ron Woodworth's body in their backyard. And it was actually Woodworth's disappearance that triggered the revelation for Tori, who at this point she was 14 years old. So guys, before we go into how she was caught, there's also one victim that is believed to have been killed by Shelly, but this was not proven because of the circumstances that surrounded it and also the autopsy report. But it's believed that she also killed him. So in 2002, Shelly Knotek, she was taking care of this man named James McClintock. So James, he was an 81-year-old retired merchant crewman who had reportedly willed Knotek his $140,000 estate. But before Shelly actually did have it, he had willed it to his dog, and if his dog died, it would be willed to Shelly. And perhaps coincidentally, or perhaps not, James actually died from a wound that he allegedly suffered after falling in his own home. Police, however, they were not able to officially link Shelly to his death because the autopsy showed that he may have fallen to his own death. So guys, I don't know if you guys think she did it. I think she did it. I'm not gonna lie, because the coincidence surrounding it, the time when you just knew that, oh, he willed me all this, like why did he just die all of a sudden? I think she did it, but obviously there was no proof that she actually did it, so at this case it remains allegedly. Tori, she became awakened to what was going on, and she was like, you know what, everything now is going out of hand. So what she had actually done at this time, her two older sisters, they had actually moved out of the house. And the thing is, Sammy and Nikki, before they moved out, that prior to them moving out, they moved out because obviously they needed to go to school. Shelly was looking for everything possible for them to not move out, for them to stay at home, but obviously she knew that it was not going to work. So Nikki and Sam, they left the house. So with her older sisters who had already moved out, Tori, she mustered the courage to confide in them about her suspicions regarding Ron Woodward's fate, because at this point she had actually suspected that her mom may have had a case in his disappearance, may have had a hand in his disappearance. So her sisters actually encouraged her to gather Ron's belongings and provide crucial evidence to support their case when they were presenting it to the police. So after this, the three sisters, they actually did turn in their mom. So in 2003, there was a thorough investigation that was conducted by the police on the Knotek's property, and this led to the discovery of Ron's buried remains. So subsequently, on August 8th of that year, David and Shelly Knotek, they were apprehended and they were placed under arrest. So following the event, Tori Knotek, she was also placed under the care of her sister Sammy. So before she was placed under CPS, she knew that she was going to be taken into care. But before she went into care, there's a video that I watched that actually, there was a podcast I listened to that she puts like clues around the house so that when the authorities came to the house, they would know where to go and where to check. But like when the police actually came to put her daughter in care, Shelly was frantic because she was like, why are you taking my child away from me? At this time, she had not known what had actually did happen. But anyways, after that being said, she was put in the care of her elder sister, Sammy. David and Shelly, they were invited to the police station and they were interrogated. David, he actually did confess to shooting Shane and burying Ron 5 months after he had shot Shane. Oh guys, this case is so heavy. The sickening thing is that when he had killed Shane, the girls, they were asking about Shane all the time, and she would lie and be like, yeah, Shane went to left town to work and make money, and she would come every day and be like, oh, Shane said hi, Shane said this, Shane said I should greet you, Shane said I should do this, Shane said I should do that. But then you turn around and you killed him. And I'm sure Nikki, after finding this out, should have felt so bad and so, guys, this case is so heavy, should have felt so bad and so guilty that she's the one that indirectly, even though it was not her fault, caused the death of Shane. Like that would be weighing heavy on her conscience. In 2003, there was a thorough investigation by the police that was conducted, and on August 8th of that same year, David and Shelly Knotek, they were apprehended and they were placed under arrest. So following the event, Tori Knotek was placed under the care of her sister Sammy. So David, eventually, he did confess to the shooting of Shane and also burying Ron Woodward 5 months later. And as a result, he faced charges of second-degree murder for the shooting of Shane, and he was sentenced to 13 years in prison, which to me, that is nothing. That is nothing. Michelle, on the other hand, she was charged with second-degree murder for the death of Kathy and manslaughter for the death of Ron. And damn, this was, I don't know, this I understand why it's not a first-degree murder, but for you to torture someone like that, that means you had the intention of them dying. Because how do you see somebody in such a very degrading state and you don't think they're going to die. Like, what do you think they are, Superman? This case is so scary. On the other hand, she was charged with second-degree murder. Sammy, she said that if her mom ever steps on her doorstep, that she sees herself locking all her doors and barricading herself in the bathroom, after which she will call the police. Do you see the fear she placed on her children? Nikki and Sam, they are now in their mid-40s and they reside in Seattle, while Tori, she decided to have a fresh start and she relocated to Colorado. In 2018, David Knotek was granted parole and he took the opportunity to reach out to his daughters to seek their forgiveness. However, both Sammy and Tori, they actually publicly expressed the fact that they forgave their dad and they acknowledged their dad to be yet another victim of Michelle, because they knew how destructive and manipulative Shelly, their mom, was. So they forgave their dad. But Nikki, on the other hand, she did not forgive her dad. She did not accept her father's apology. And she was like that the traumatic abuse that she endured left an indelible mark on her, which cannot even make her forgive, talk more forget the pain that was inflicted upon her. Like, despite the pain and the suffering that the children went on, Tori and Sam, they forgave their dad. I don't know if I can forgive. I don't know if I can forgive like that. I don't think I can. I don't think I can. So just for you to see, because there are people that would have been in this situation and they would have come out and been like a wound in the society. They would have come with so much hatred and hurt for the society, and they would turn into something else. We've seen that in so many cases. But the fact that these three girls were able to pick up the wounds that they had and just become something different from what their parents are or were is something that should be applauded, honestly speaking. Thank you guys so much. That is all I have for you today, and I'm so sorry this case is such a heavy one. After this, just go and hug your loved ones or watch something light. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate. Thank you guys so much. It really does mean the world to me. And till next time, guys, bye.